Hey everyone, it's Mr. Wildwood94. I hope you're doing well today. I have a Batman graphic novel to talk about. One that I've been reading off and on for probably a year at this point. I went back and re-looked over everything else after I finished the book last night before bed, just to get a general gist of some of the things I remembered seeing in the book, and I was right. My memory served me well for once. I thought I was getting old man brain, but not anymore. Not anymore. You won't defeat me, dementia. Anyway, Batman Arkham is the label of this particular series. They have different villains that are highlighted per Batman Arkham title ship. And of course, this is not tied to just like an Arkham Asylum. This is Batman Arkham ManBat. And ManBat is a character that I've only seen pop up here and there in comics that I've read since I got into comics when I was a kid. I've never really been obsessed with ManBat, but I always liked playing as him in the Lego Batman First game back in the day on Xbox 360. And I've always wanted to learn more about this character. He's kind of like this, not so much Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde character, more than like the Wolfman, which are kind of the same thing, but kind of not at the same time. He's basically Batman's lizard, if you will. And I love Lizard. I think I like Lizard more than ManBat after reading this, to be honest with you. This is a little all over the place. This is a 300-page collection, compilation, whatever, of supposedly, according to the back of the book, best stories of ManBat. 3 of those being a retelling or reversioning of the story of origin of ManBat. Now, if you like ManBat, this will be a good book for you. If you want to learn more about him, this is a good book for you, despite the repetitive nature of it. I was not impressed, to say the least. I think most of the stories, aside from like the 70s era, all the way up until like maybe past the first 100 pages, just a little over the first 100 pages, don't really have the best art, in my opinion. Of course, it's 1970s art, and usually I don't mind that. Usually 1970s art looks pretty damn good, in my opinion. But this book really doesn't get good for me until closer to the halfway point, and that's almost 150 pages, so kind of depends on what you want to do with your time when it comes to this read. It has good moments, I would say. There's one particular story in here called like Batman Bat Out of Hell or something, ManBat Out of Hell. I forgot what the title was. I think Chuck Dixon did that actual story, and it was really good, very short, maybe 10 pages long. The art was gorgeous there. It was actually a black and white story and a very noir-esque story. And I'm going to be honest with you, it was dark. It was a dark story. That was one of the, probably the second to last stories in here. And that was a grim story, man. There's also collectively an issue at the end of the book from the New 52. I don't know how you feel about that. I actually didn't hate when I read there. I thought it was a little interesting, to be honest with you. Just like most of the book was kind of interesting to some extent. But I don't know. Every time we bring in, like in a good 50 pages into the book, when we start bringing in Kirk Langstrom, who is ManBat's wife, a lot into the story, I started to lose interest. I wanted to see more of how Batman would deal with these things, and you get a little bit of that for like the first half of the book. The second half, not so much. You get some investigation stuff, and you usually, with the repetitive nature of the constant origin storytelling of ManBat throughout this book, you constantly, repetitively get Batman figuring out it's Kirk Langstrom, and finding out that he's a giant ManBat creature. There's just different variations on that. Like sometimes Kirk Langstrom's wife might be She-Bat, which is embarrassing in my opinion. She-Bat is not as cool as ManBat, and Woman-Bat doesn't sound as good. So, Batman Arkham ManBat. The art, if I haven't hit on that too much, really for me doesn't start to look as good until about the midway point as well. About 150 pages, like I said. Some of the 70s art, specifically in the first couple of volumes, or couple of issues, I mean, look pretty good for the most part. But it really doesn't get to what I like style-wise until we get to like the late 80s. I think there's an 89 issue somewhere in here. From that point onward is really when the art stands out for me, and it's something I enjoy style-wise. But overall, Batman Arkham ManBat, not really a big recommendation for me. It kind of depends on who you are. If you're a Batman fan who just reads everything and you want to get into specific villains, like maybe Mad Hatter, or in this case, ManBat, and you never knew anything about him aside from the obvious, check it out. Maybe you'll find something in here you like. Maybe you'll like it more than I did after it took me like a year to read this book. But I don't recommend it to most people, just in case you're curious. Batman Arkham ManBat, if I had to rate it on a 5-star basis, there's some decent writing in here, about halfway good and halfway bad. There's halfway good art and halfway bad art sometimes. I think the art is more consistently good than the actual writing, to be honest with you. If I'm being truthful, that's what I really think deep down. I would therefore give it about a 3 out of 5 stars, because it's kind of meandering on both sides of that, what can be quality and what cannot, and that's usually why I don't like these compilation books, whether it be the New 52 Joker book, where they had like the Joker wearing the mechanic outfit and shit. It kind of depends on what we're talking about of when I like compilation books, and a lot of them are just shit, to be honest with you. Unless it's like, you know, the first 20 issues of a Stan Lee run on Spider-Man collected. That makes sense, because style-wise and storytelling, narrative storytelling at least, all of that feels consistent. The art will look and feel consistent. Whereas you get a book like this and you're picking out your favorites over your worsts. And, well, that's how I feel about Batman Arkham ManBat. Anyway, let me know what you think about it down in the comments section down below. I'd love to hear everything you have to say about the Batman Arkham series and ManBat himself. Did you love this book? Did you hate it? Do you like ManBat? Let me know all of that down below, too. Is he the weakest Batman villain out of the massive rogues gallery that he has? I would argue, after reading this, it's kind of fair to say that. It's kind of fair. And this book wasn't as bloody as I thought it should have been, too. Even in the later issues that are in the more recent years. So that's just another thing to keep in mind, too, with such a savage, or supposedly savage, villain. Anyway, thank you all for watching, guys. Once again, 3 out of 5 stars. God bless you all, and goodbye.